Okay, now we're back here. Welcome to day 28. We went through a quick function having to do with the now function, gives us today's dates. Subtracting now from my birthday gives me the number of days old I am. And now, how many hours old are you? What would you put for a function there? Yeah.
Your birthday, or that number of days divided by 22.
Yeah. This number times 24, actually. That's how many hours old you are. And if we want to go down to minutes, again, multiply that number by 60. So equal that number times 60. And as I refresh this page, what's the refresh? There's a refresh. Oh, I forget what the refresh key is. I know there's a refresh somewhere.
Type whatever.
Yeah, if you type somewhere and hit enter, there is a special function key that actually will refresh the page. But if you type something, hit enter, it'll automatically update all the calculations on your worksheet. Enter doesn't do it. If I change a cell and hit enter, it will refresh. I don't remember the function key. But Excel functions all along the way. Remember, if we want to see the functions that are there, I can do the control single tick mark in the upper left, and it shows me my functions in every cell. Control tick mark again, and it shows me the calculations. Okay, well, let's get started then on our next project, which is project EX2. And I'll bring up the instructions in the book. I think it's a pretty easy project, but I'll let you decide. Here's the project. We're being asked to analyze energy consumption in a typical home given this information. And I want to challenge you, see if you can make your table look exactly like this format with the white font on a dark background, white font on a dark green background, with these numbers alternating colors. The work we're doing is simply putting a simple function in there. So let's go ahead, and here's how my plan to do it. I'm going to first enter this information, figure out the calculations for this cost, and then fill handle down. So actually all it is calculating one function. They've given you a surprisingly easy little homework assignment. And I'm happy to be easy on you because there's going to be harder homework coming up. So let's go back to Excel and start. I'm just going to start a new worksheet on this one. And I'm going to put in the title EX, is it 127-1, Energy Analysis. And the data is appliance electricity usage costs, appliance cost per hour, hours used monthly. Cost per hour, monthly hours, and total costs, or I'll call it energy costs. And the title, appliance electricity usage costs. And the various appliances they have listed are clothes dryer, computer, Blu-ray player. Who has a Blu-ray player any day? That pretty much dates the book here, huh? Light bulbs, sound system. And television, washing machine. I don't have a television. Wonder what appliances use up more. You know, one thing, they're missing a few appliances. We'll come back to the missing appliances. I think take up more energy. Okay, so cost per hour of the various appliances. 0.447. Here, I'll shrink this down so I can see the numbers on both pages. And come back to here and enter my data. And now the number of hours spent for each one. All right. Who can give me the formula that should go there for the energy cost?
Multiply
Yeah,
the 2.
that one times that one. Cost per hour times the number of hours. And since this number is dollars, I'm going to go ahead and put this whole column in counting format, since that's how they showed it on the page. And the cost is also dollars. I'll go ahead and put that in accounting format. And now I'll fill handle down my calculation. Do I need to worry about relative and absolute addressing?
Yeah.
Every time I move down, I want it to multiply by the next cell next to me, so I don't put any stickies next to anything. I'm not using any constants that are in the same place. So I do want to leave it relative addressing. So anytime I copy it, you can think of it as I multiply the number 2 to the left of me times the number 1 to the left of me, getting my energy cost. Well, let's think a little bit more practically here. What other appliances in your home are using a lot of energy? I think we're missing a few important appliances here.
Chargers.
We got a dish. Do we not have a dish? Yeah, we don't. We have a washing machine, dishwasher. And you said charger? Like for you, a little phone charger?
I mean, any phone charge. I mean, as long as they're continuously plugged in, it's still taking power.
So let's put for the charger, although the energy cost is probably low, people leaving it plugged in a lot, let's go ahead and put monthly hours. Let's see. If it's on constantly, how many hours are there in a month? Well, we could calculate that. Let's just figure 24 times 30. There we go. If we leave it constantly plugged in, but it's a low cost, let's just say it costs maybe cost per hour, let's say half a cent per hour. I'm thinking it's even less than that. But
why is it around 0.01?
Because it rounds 5 up. So $3.60, even because it's using a small charge. Dishwasher, I'm guessing it's a little bit more. Let's guess, let's see, probably about the same as maybe a washing machine.
Probably a little bit more, honestly, because you use it more than your washing machine, I would think. But maybe not, I don't know.
You probably use it.
It's heat. Basically, what a washer does, it heats up, so it's using heat like a dryer. When it's at the dry mode. When it's actually washing, I think it's mostly just letting the water through, and the water kind of drives things around. So it's more sloshing water around. I think there may be a motor in there to pump water in and out. So I'm guessing it's maybe, what do we have for a washing machine? 6 cents per hour. We'll guess maybe just about the same as a washing machine. And how many hours do you think we use it? Once a day? For an hour? That would be 30 hours? That's about right. All right, what other appliances? I'm thinking of one. Maybe you have a gas stove, but I have an electric stove. I'm going to put stove. If I wanted to do this, actually, it could be gas or electric, and cost per hour might be different based on whether it's gas or electric. So since mine's electric, I'm going to put when we have it on, I'm thinking it does maybe use a bit more electricity because it's got some pretty powerful heaters in there. But we're using it for maybe, we don't always cook every night, so I'm guessing, on average, maybe an hour a day. And then we'll bring that calculation down. Any other appliances come to mind that you might be using? Think of anything that may take up energy. Could be gas. Refrigerator, there you go. And that's running constantly, right? That's why they say they'll actually help you buy a refrigerator that is more efficient. I'm guessing we have a decently efficient refrigerator. Let's just say it's about the power of our sound system. But it is running constantly. But it is cycling. But we'll say that it's on constant. We'll do the same calculation as this one. I'm going to copy and paste. And then fill handle this guy down. I'm thinking we may be a little high on the cost, or since we might have to just count when the actual motor is running, because when it's sitting there, it's not. I'm going to cut that number maybe in half, thinking it's running about half the time. So I don't think a refrigerator is going to be the major cost. Right now we have it as our major cost. But that's enough calculation. Let's go ahead and format it now. And maybe, since we have time, maybe we'll put in a little graph here. According to our numbers, what's using the most? Question?
What was the formula for energy?
Oh, energy is this, double click, is the column cost per hour times the number of hours for that row. And then you just fill handle down. In this case, B5 times C5. But you may not have the exact same cell numbers. Just make it be your cost per hour times monthly hours. That's your energy cost. Now the rest of this, let's just format this title, and let's try to match the formatting we see here in the book. So let's make that dark green with a white font. And might as well make it a little bigger here. I'm going to merge and center that. Actually, I'm going to merge it and then left align it. And then fill it. Where's my fill? Right here. Fill it with a dark green. Change the font color to a white. And then enlarge it these. I'm going to have a dark background, dark brownish or grayish background, and a white font. I am having trouble with it here, not wrapping. Rather than do the manual line break, I'm going to right-click Format Cells and turn on wrapping right here in the alignment page, Wrap Text, and click OK. And then, I don't know how I got that extra space in there. Looks like there's an extra space before the E. No, maybe not. Then I'm going to select those and fill them with a darker color. And then make my font white. And I can adjust my row height a little bit there. I think I'm going to center that. I think it'll look a little better centered. I can even decide how to have it aligned within the cell here. I guess it's not here. Let's go down to the extras. Let's see, merge, center. I'm going to center it vertically as well, right here. I'm going to center both horizontally and vertically in the dialog. I think I like that look a little better. And let's see, what did they do for the other numbers? They had alternating colors on the lines. Here's an easier way to do that. Rather than one by one selecting, I'm going to turn them all one shade, and then every other I'll turn back to another shade. Yes?
Besides the format cells, what for the horizontal and vertical, what did you choose?
Format cells,
Or the
alignment. I chose both center and horizontal and vertical. That brought them up a little bit since they were kind of hard against the bottom edge of that cell. I changed all these into a shade. Now I'm going to go select every other row, control selecting, control selecting, control selecting. Am I waiting for my computer to catch up? And control selecting. And make that slightly darker than the other. So I'll go back to that fill, make it a slightly darker shade. It's a decent looking, similar to the book's request. I'm going to go with the font I have. I'm not going to worry about changing font. I think what I might do though, I'm going to make both of these bold and see how that looks. I like that look a little better. One more thing though, just for practice, since this has been, I think, a pretty easy little project. All you did was calculate one function. That column is those two multiplied together. Let's add a pie chart showing the proportion of each appliance and its energy costs. Just to review that, remember how we did that? Select through the names of the appliances, control select through the energy costs, then insert. I like the 3D pie. I'm going to keep that on the same page. I'm going to shrink it down a little bit. I hate how this key is using up all the space. I'm going to change the format of the pie chart. That's decent. Let's look for a better format. Let's see what else they have for me. I kind of like that one, but the titles are messed up. I'll go with that one. And watch what I can do. I can come over here. After selecting a particular style, I can come here and click on parts of it. I can resize those little titles to make them fit just right. I can actually modify the chart it gave me. And see how these are all tromping on each other? I can click them, move them. Don't want to move them too far away. The text is the color of the piece of the pie. But I can make it a little more readable by adjusting that. Uh-oh, I don't want to select everything. Select the dishwasher, adjust the length of that, and move it up a little bit. So you can customize a chart if it's not quite fitting right. And I'm going to move this one just down a little bit so I can see the all the letters. I'll move this one down a little bit too. And computers looks horrible with the R hanging by itself. Let's see if I can lengthen that a little bit. Come on. It's not letting me, oh, maybe I have to push it up first. It's not letting me lengthen the computer text. There we go. I'm not sure why it wouldn't let me pull it to the left. A little bit more readable. Dishwasher is still a problem. It won't let me go past the edge of my pie chart, but I might put it here as down in the green so you can actually read it. That's not a good place for it.
Increase the size of the window a little bit. Maybe.
I can, let's see, what can I do? Yeah, I can increase the size of my window. I could actually decrease the size of font there to make the dishwasher a little more readable, and then pull the window over. See, it won't let me push the window to the left, but I can shrink the box a little bit, and it effectively pushes it over. But then I start dropping the R. That's about as good as I'm going to do. I'm not going to be super fussy. Just so you know, you can, once you make a pie chart, you can adjust things a little bit to make it look a little better. All right, that'll work for me. Don't forget, though, you want to give it a meaningful title. Chart title is not an acceptable title for any charts. We'll put proportion of energy, or energy proportion. By each appliance. If I adjust my calculation, think, you know what, maybe the monthly hours of my refrigerator, maybe the motor is only running and maybe a fourth of the time. Instead of 12 hours, I'll make that 6 hours. The pie chart automatically adjusts its numbers. And it did move the letters a little bit, but it's kind of goofy. That stove is sitting in a bad place. I'm going to click once, click another time on the stove, move that up next to that piece of the pie. There we go. Save that as EX127, or sorry, last name EX127-1. So I'm going to save this as Manning EX127-1, meaning it's on page 127, number 1. And then you can upload that. An easy, kind of get it easy in your back end after the Easter break into Excel projects. I see television kind of got moved. I'm going to move that back out. When I adjusted my numbers, my words are getting farther away from their piece of the pie.
We can submit it.
Yep, then you can submit that one. And then we're on to the second to last Excel project. So I'm going to bop ahead in the book to the next pages here, which describe our next little project. And we'll go over one of the harder concepts having to do with a logical comparison. And a thing called what if analysis is coming up in this chart. Here's the things we're doing in the third Excel project. A little fancier formatting of text in a cell. We can rotate text. That's again in that dialog. We've done this before, series of names, copying and pasting cells, using formatting symbols. That's a little bit new for us. Putting in the system date, like we did with the now function. We're going to practice a little bit more with our absolute and relative references. And here's something I want to jump to right away, is this thing called the if function, because this is confusing. Let's look at it now, and then we'll look at it again as we come to the part in the project. So let's explain the if function. I'm going to start a new project just to get ready for EX3. But I'm going to insert a separate page on this one.
You gotta hit enter. You have to press
Yeah.
enter, so.
There we go. And I'm going to practice the if function. I'll call this if function practice. First thing we need to know is what in the world is an if function. Sometimes in calculations, you can solve things with addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. But some functions don't work that way, especially when you're dealing with government things. They'll do things like, you pay anything over a certain amount in taxes. Or if you have more than 3 children, this is your rate for this cost. It may even come up in a business where you get this price if your order is over a certain price. Your shipping costs are this up till a certain amount. So you can't model it in a mathematical function. So they invented the if function to handle those kind of things. And here's how it works. The if function, if I just type equal if, I'll get the little help page come up. And I hit parentheses, and it shows me in the help that comes up, I'm going to just write this out. There's a logical test. And I'll call it value if true and a value if false. That is what the if function does. I'm going to put, if I put quotes around this, it won't give me the ugly error symbol trying to calculate that. This is what the if function does. It has three parts. You test something, comparing a cell to another. And if that test comes out true, what goes in this cell will be this. If that test comes out false, what goes in the cell with the function will be this. Let's show an example. Suppose I have a quota in my sales of $1,000. And my bonus, if I reach my quota, is $500. My sales are $900. So what is my bonus? You know what you know it's zero because you can see, yes, your sales have not met or exceeded the quota. To explain that in an if formula would look like this. If my sales are greater than or equal to the quota, see how that logical comparison is coming out? And it seems obvious to us. Yeah, if your sales are more than the quota, then you get your bonus. Well, we want Excel to do the calculation. So to explain that to the computer, we tell Excel, use the if formula. And the logical test is my sales here greater than or equal to my quota. Comma means, okay, if that comes out to be true, what do I get for a bonus?
500.
I get the value that's in that cell. And I could have typed the number 500 here, but I'm referring to this cell reference in case they decide to change the value of the bonus later on. I automatically update my bonus or the actual calculation of the bonus. Now this isn't stated here, but it seems pretty obvious. If I do not reach my quota, my bonus is by default 0. So there's the full if formula in a small example of I get a bonus when my sales reach a quota. And I hit enter, and it actually does the actual calculation. What if I come back and say, wait a minute, I had a big sale just yesterday, and now my sales are up to 1,100. Watch, the bonus value automatically calculates my bonus. So there's one simple example of using the if formula. Remember the formula for it. Logical test, value if true, value if false. Here's another logical test. I'm going to give you the numbers, and see if you can tell me what the if function should give me. I'm going to give you a sentence. But first I'll put in the values. I have my savings, say, are 2,000. Grammy, no, my savings are 2,000. Yeah, let's hear it. Here it is. Grammy sends me a gift of $500, not 5,000, when my balance is less than $1,000. So there's the wording describing the if formula. What would I put here for my if formula?
You do if, and in parentheses, then you do, if savings, if like the savings number.
Yeah, that
is
one.
Less than just less than, 1,000.
Yeah, since I didn't put my savings or her statement, I just put in the sentence less than 1,000. I can type 1,000. And then a comma meaning, okay, what do I get when that comes out to be true? What do I put here?
500.
500. Because my sentence says 500, it isn't hiding in a cell somewhere. I don't need to put a cell reference. And what otherwise?
0.
Yeah, 0. So it's going to be like a little word problem sometimes. From a sentence, what you have to do is find out, well, what's the logical test in the sentence? In this case, it's my balance is less than 1,000. That's what comes first in the if formula. Then, okay, since I'm telling this the gift I get, well, the gift will be 500 when that comes out to be true. So that matches that sentence that I just gave you. Does that make sense to you? Okay, that's just a little practice in the if formula. We'll come back to that now. Let's go back to figuring out what they want for Excel third project. We'll get started on this. Let's see, where is it? Where'd it go? Yeah, there it is. So here's what we're going to be creating. We're going to be creating again, another budget table for a small company. What's different about this compared to our other budget table is we have some variables, some constants having to do with percentage of sales, percentage of percentage of revenue that we're spending on different parts of our company. So when we refer to these cells, these numbers right down here, they'll be an absolute reference in these functions up here. These are going to be calculations that I'm going to be copying to the other months. So I'm going to be absolute referencing these numbers in this table, just for a little heads up. Then we're going to also produce a slightly different kind of chart. Instead of pie chart, we're moving on to bar charts. So in the book, they discuss the various calculations we're going to be doing that are costs of various items in our budget are revenue or revenue times a particular percent, all in that little table. So here's the plan they lay out by hand. We're going to have some little charts. And now let's get going on creating the template for our worksheet. So I'm just going to jump ahead to what we're going to have. In here will be Froyo to go, what I see here, financial projection. Let's get a bigger page there. There we go. Froyo to go in the first cell, 6-month financial projection, starting with April, and we're going to rotate that. And then we'll fill handle over to the right. So back to Excel, back to my first Excel project, my blank Excel project. Since they're starting in A1, I'm going to, rather than change your addresses, I'm going to put EX3 there in front of Froyo to go sales projection. And they have 6-month financial projection. And April is in cell B3. We'll rotate that and we'll be done here. So let's first start with April. We're not starting with January this time. We're starting with April. We know if we fill handle over, it'll add the other months. But before we fill handle over, we're going to rotate April. So as we fill handle, it'll also copy the format, the rotated format. Here's how we rotate text. It used to be in the dialog, but they've put it up here in a special little icon. I can adjust the rotation here at a particular angle. And there's our angle 45 degrees, counterclockwise, and then if I fill handle over, it'll go out 6 months and keep it rotated. One more month. Oh, that's 6 months. Yeah. Go ahead and save it there as your last name, EX3. And we'll continue this one on Friday. Maybe we'll have some doers in here, and you're going to be demonstrating your fantastic Excel skills on Friday. Have a wonderful day.